Are you looking to build around Iroh Grand Lotus on a budget? Well, this list can help. Hello everybody and welcome back into the fort where we make magic more accessible for everyone. My name is Tyler Saves Ya Bucks and we're talking about Iroh Grand Lotus today, a brand new Temur legend coming in Avatar: The Last Airbender. It is 3 green, blue, and red for a human noble ally, 5/5 with firebending 2. That means when it attacks, you make 2 red mana, but it also says during your turn, each lesson card in your graveyard has flashback for 1 generic mana. Very, very powerful. Of course, it is expensive to cast, but once it's out there and you have a graveyard full of a bunch of lessons, you're going to be able to possibly pop off by chaining a bunch of them together for just 1 generic. I can talk about a bunch of really good spell, casting cards and what you should do to fill out this list. But for this Pillow 14, which is 14 cards for under $14, I'm going to highlight a few good spell casting cards towards the end, but specifically some of the best, in my opinion, lesson cards that aren't in this set. These are lesson cards that came from Strixhaven several years ago, where lessons and learn and all that started. Let's get right into it by looking at one of the best lesson cards from that set from all those years ago. Illuminate history, and that's what I'm doing, I guess. I'm illuminating the history of lesson cards. 2 red for a sorcery lesson. Discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards. Then, if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. Why this is my pick for one of the best lessons in the deck is because of the fact that you can discard a whole bunch of cards into your graveyard, probably lessons, and just get it all nice and ready for when Iroh comes down and you can chain a bunch of spells together. Plus you're drawing cards right back up to where you were. And then if you do have a lot of cards in your graveyard, you're able to make that spirit token, which I guess is kind of thematic for Avatar to have some spirits rolling around. Let's keep going with some other great spells in the deck. Teachings of the Archaics. This is 3 mana to cast normally, and that's something else I'll say. You can always just cast some of these spells in the game to get them into your graveyard, and then you have some good value throughout the game until you're ready to pop off on that Iroh turn. It says, though, if an opponent has more cards in hand than you, draw 2 cards. Draw 3 cards instead if an opponent has at least 4 or more cards in hand than you. You're probably going to be drawing 2 cards most of the time, but in the case where it is the late game and you're ready to pop off and you only have a couple spells in your hand, someone else might have a full grip and you're able to draw 3 when you flash this back later. Basic Conjuration is 3 mana for a sorcery. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You gain 3 life. Yes, we're going to be talking about a lot of instants and sorceries in this list, but there are some good creatures, like I said, we'll talk about in a little bit, that you'll probably be able to hit when you cast this spell, and then you get a little bit of life gain. Introduction to Prophecy. 3 mana, scry 3, and draw a card, and it's colorless. Again, this is something you can cast early on in the game, or just throw it away with one of your looting spells, and then cast it for 1 when Iroh is out. Containment Breach. 3 mana to destroy target artifact or enchantment. If its mana value is 2 or less, create a pest that when it dies, you gain 1 life. All decks need some ways to get rid of artifacts and enchantments, and even though this is a sorcery and it is 3 mana to cast, it'll only be 1 mana once it's in your graveyard, and casting it twice is kind of a good thing. You cast it early on, get rid of a troublesome value piece, and then cast it later and destroy another thing that might be even more impactful in the game at that point. Start from Scratch is 3 mana for a sorcery lesson. Choose 1. Start from Scratch deals 1 damage to any target or destroy target artifact. Again, you want to get rid of artifacts usually, and that dealing 1 damage to any target, who knows? Maybe that will come in handy in a certain game when there's a particularly evil 1/1 sitting around. Introduction to Annihilation. 5 mana, exile target non-land permanent. Its controller draws a card. Very strong when this is only 1 mana to get rid of something. Just pop it out of the way so you can swing on through or do whatever else you're going to do on that big turn. Mercurial Transformation is 2 mana. Until end of turn, target non-land permanent loses all abilities and becomes your choice of a blue frog creature with base power and toughness 1/1 or a blue octopus with base power and toughness 4/4. You're probably going to do the 1/1 and nullify somebody's really powerful commander or something for a turn. Mascot Exhibition is a 7 mana spell. You're hopefully casting for only 1 generic and you're making a bunch of tokens. Create a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying, a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token, and a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. That's 3 tokens for only 1 mana, and that's what you're kind of wanting to do. You're wanting to cheat some of these very big spells with just casting them for 1 once you have your commander out. And now we're talking about some of the cards that will help with this whole strategy. Goblin Electromancer is a classic Spellslinger card. 2 mana, 2/2 instants and sorceries you cast cost 1 less to cast. If you're casting a bunch of these great lessons from earlier sets, as well as all the great lessons coming in the Avatar set, and they're only 1 in your graveyard, that means they're going to be free from your graveyard with something like this. Root Coil Creeper is interesting for playing in the graveyard. It is a green and a blue for a 2/2 plant horror. Tap, add 1 mana of any color, but also you can tap to add 2 mana of any 1 color. Spend this mana only to cast spells from your graveyard. It's a good way to tap it for 2 and cast 2 lessons from your graveyard or flashback something as well. And then you can also exile it to return a target card with flashback you own from exile to your hand. So it's a way to get something that you think, or the rest of the table thinks, is gone forever. And now it's back and you're going to be utilizing it all over again. Doc Arlok Grizzled Genius is also a green and a blue. 2/3 spells you cast from your graveyard cost 2 less to cast. Plotting cards cost 2 less to cast as well. So this, again, will make some of those lessons that you flashback free, and it'll help all of your other flashback spells because now all of a sudden they cost 2 less, even if they're not a lesson. Stormcatch Mentor. This is a blue and a red for a 1/1 with haste and prowess. When you cast a non-creature, it gets +1/+1. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. It again makes your stuff you're casting from your graveyard free if they're lessons. And then Archmage of Ruins is a lot of these cards, but on steroids. It is 3 blue for a 3/6 instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. Your commander is 6 mana. This is 5 mana. This is a really good way to put this down the turn right before you're going to cast Iroh. Cast Iroh, and now you almost storm off. You're casting a bunch of those lessons in your graveyard for free and drawing a card for each and every single one you do. This deck is going to be very, very budget friendly, if you ask me, because of the fact that a lot of the lessons are going to be on the cheaper side. I'll just say this, all the cards I've showed you today, if you bought all of them, would be about $3 or $4 or $5, depending on where you're buying it from. But that's a crazy cheap amount. So thus you can spend a little bit more like that. This is only what, $1, maybe $2. You can spend a little bit more on the big payoff cards and then fill the deck with all these great budget options to either fill your graveyard or lessons that then can be cast for much cheaper later. That's the 14 cards for under $14, very much under $14. I'm going to talk about a few of the cards that I love to cast that fill my graveyard. Frantic Search. Obviously, this art is very heartbreaking if you know the show. It's a great card for any deck like this. Draw 2 cards. Discard 2 cards, untap up to 3 lands. It's basically free, and it helps you put more cards into your hand and get rid of the ones that you want to flashback later. Thrill of Possibilities, discard a card, draw 2 as an instant. Just very classic, and it's in a lot of sets, so you probably have it in your bulk. Faithless Looting, also a classic. 1 mana, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, and then already has flashback as well. Just very, very efficient. Something you can do as early as turn 1. And then Flux is a card that I adore. And it was something that I found while doing a Pillow 14 for, I think, Sin. I forget. It's very interesting. It is 2 and a blue for a sorcery. Each player chooses and discards from their hand any number of cards, then draws that many cards, and you also draw a card. Yes, it allows other people to do this too, but it is a kind of specific wheel for yourself that you're able to get rid of the specific cards you want and draw that many cards back, and then draw another card on top of it to replace Flux. I think this is an underrated card for graveyard decks, especially instant and sorcery centered ones. And then if you are cracking packs of Avatar, look for abandoned attachments. It's a lesson. It allows you to discard a card to draw 2 cards. It's a lot like Frantic Search. And if you have this sitting in your common bulk pile after you do some pre-releases or other stuff, and you're going to build Iroh, you definitely need to find this one and grab it to put it in the deck, because it is exactly what you're going to be looking for if you're building around Iroh Grand Lotus. So those are some of my picks to help you get started on a budget deck. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments. It takes more than one person to build a pillow fort and more than one person to build a deck sometimes. So let's help each other out. Now, I'm going to go off and make some more Avatar content and enjoy this delicious tea that I brewed with a very strange flower I found outside. So I'm wondering if it's delicious tea or deadly poison. I don't know. Well, come back for the next video and see if I'm alive in it. Goodbye.